Rajim, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, Assalamu alaikum, Jiayanum, Pachera Gale, Ni Hao, Chunashume, Washmale, Ohio Gazaimas, Guten Morgen, Hola, Bonjour, Privyet, Kaifahal, Hale Shuma Chatore, Ahlan Wasalan Marhaba, Buna, Mucho, Gracias, Fabi, Bali Kare, Hosh Gal, and Ayo Sayo. Khuyamora Chivato Chi Haljot Kalimera, and a very warm welcome to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and are watching World this morning alongside my very well-learned colleague who happens to be Miss Hajar Satti. I happen to be Shahzad Hassan Khan, and the weather over here in Islamabad, ladies and gentlemen, happens to be stunning and fantabulous. I think it's time that we call for pakoras and samosas, but before we do that, ladies and gentlemen, we hope and pray that everybody out there is doing wonderfully well and that you're ready to kickstart your Thursday morning with us. But first things first, hello Hajar, assalamu alaikum, how do you feel today?
Walaikum assalam. Thank you so much for introducing me. Certainly weather is very nice because it's raining outside, and I think suddenly out of nowhere there was a cloudburst and there's a rain going on, but obviously it has uplifted our moods a lot. You always call for pakoras and samosas, but we never get that. It's all just, verbal thing going on.
I mean, right?
So,
the responsibility totally lies on the Deputy Controller PTV World who happens to be Mr. Jamshed Sultan. So every time you've called for pakoras, he's always busy. He's like, I've got a meeting to attend and whatnot. So he always finds a reason to go out by himself, not taking his team along.
Why don't you take the responsibility and lead that team?
Why not? Why not? Why not? But at the same time, I believe that that having too much fried food is not really healthier for health as well. But
we are not having too much. We are having once in a while. I mean, jab se I decided to join your team, you never had me this pakoras and samosas.
I'm very sorry, but okay, I will, inshallah, make sure that I take away all of these grievances, inshallah, from the entire team, because even my producers in my ear are like
that of chocolate.
Okay, so this is something which has happened with me. So when I went to Europe, I came back, I'm a bigger family, all my chocolates went away, and when Hajra and the entire team asked, I was like, yeah, I'm going to get them for you. But unfortunately, I've been unable to get them for these guys. Which I promise today, I will one day, okay? One day when it's going to come, I don't know. But there's one thing which I wanted to ask you. So it's a quotation which I wanted to share with our audiences. And, I was flabbergasted as soon as I read it. So imagine that the quotation says that the aim of science is not to open the door to infinite wisdom, but to set a limit to infinite error. So what do you have to say about it? That's something... I was like, wow, yeah, this is something good.
Infinite error, to set a limit to infinite error, that's true because, I mean, you cannot totally eliminate error, especially when it comes to humans, because to err is a man, right? And no matter how many scientific research you do, you will always find that there's some possibility of the error in that, right? But obviously, the door towards the infinite wisdom, the keys towards that door is held by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He hasn't given this responsibility or knowledge to anyone to the humans out there. But obviously it's a very deep quote and it's a very wonderful quote, and thank you so much for sharing it. So I think without any further ado, we would like to do our top stories because our producer is constantly nudging us. So without any further ado, our Prime Minister Anwar Kakar says Pakistan and Saudi Arabia enjoy historic and deep-rooted ties. He was talking to Ambassador of Saudi Arabia Nawaf bin Saeed Ahmad Al-Maliki, who called on him in Islamabad. The Saudi ambassador congratulated the Prime Minister on assuming the office and conveyed best wishes and greetings on behalf of the custodian of the holy mosques, as well as the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and the people of Saudi Arabia. The Prime Minister thanked the Saudi government for its consistent support for Pakistan's economic stability and development. And obviously, Saudi ambassador has also congratulated the Prime Minister on assuming the office, and I think Pakistan and Saudi Arabia enjoy the fraternal ties, the brotherly ties. It's not just related to the economic cooperation, but obviously to more spiritual relations, because Khana Kaaba is there, and we are Muslims and we hold this very strong bond towards the Khana Kaaba and Makkah Mukarramah. And obviously we do have lots of peoples, ex-Pakistanis, overseas Pakistanis, who are living there, contributing towards not just the development of Saudi Arabia and also towards the Pakistan.
That's true, which is why now moving on, ladies and gentlemen, as I've spoken earlier, that it's raining over here in Islamabad, but hot and humid weather is expected in plain areas of the country during the next 12 hours. However, rain and wind and thunder showers is expected at isolated places in northeast Punjab, Upper Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Gilgit-Baltistan, Kashmir and adjoining hilly areas. So for all of those people, who wanted to have a great time with their families, because Few of the schools have opened up, few of the schools are still on summer vacations. Please make sure that you take out your kids. Have fun in rain. It's always fun to be in rain. It's always fun to have some pakoras, if somebody else is paying for them. And if you are to pay for them, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure that you go out in lesser sample sizes. Okay, I think that's going to be a brilliant idea for everybody who's out there. But where, Haja, you were actually speaking about, how the Saudi ambassador actually met with the Prime Minister of the Pakistan.
Yes.
And it's always nice to see that, that the kind of contribution they have made towards the well-being of our country, and how
True.
Pakistanis have made contributions towards the well-being of the Saudi counterparts.
The host country.
It is really very important that we highlight how overseas Pakistanis have been making sure that they are going to contribute towards the well-being of their very native countrymen or fellow men as well. And this is something which we will be discussing today. So we have been in discussions with a lot of people from different NGOs, INGOs, a lot of people doing a lot of work. But this is for the second or third time that this has come across us, that that it's a social enterprise who's actually working for Pakistanis while being in Canada. All of these gentlemen are making sure that they're going to help all those disabled people over here in Pakistan. How far they reach out to these audiences, that's something which we will be figuring out. We certainly need to know the statistics, that how many people unfortunately are specially able. This is something which we want to discuss, and how they are helping and how they're making a difference and how they're making a positive impact in their lives by providing them with customized wheelchairs is something that we certainly wanted to kind of highlight today. A lot of people who are out there, certainly you will get a chance today to make sure that you contribute to this course. And without any further ado, I'm going to introduce a very worthy guest all the way from Canada, overseas Pakistani. Ladies and gentlemen, we are lucky that we have been joined by founder Nayaz Support. He happens to be Mr. Hussain Udwani. Hello sir, Assalamu alaikum, good morning. How are you feeling today?
Walaikum assalam. Thank you, Shahzad Hajra, for
Jazakallah.
having me here.
Thank you so much for joining us. And
Yes.
since you're flying from Canada, you could have offered us a few chocolates too. It's so
Considering your track record, please don't ask for the
No, actually,
chocolates.
Hajra told me that you'll be having this samosas
Oh
and
my
pakoras.
God.
So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
came
yeah.
all the
Yes.
way from there.
All right,
Yes,
so ladies and gentlemen,
so please, I think Shahzad need to keep
what
his
goes
track
around,
record
this
straight.
is a true definition of what goes around comes around.
Yes,
so I've
yes.
been doing that, and I think now my team is doing to me. But sir, thank you so much for joining us. Wonderful to have you over here. Let's get started. First of all, I would want you to kind of highlight to our audiences in
Yes.
46 different countries, what's the difference in between, when we say a social enterprise and an NGO?
And also your concept of customized wheelchair, it's very enticing in the first place, because obviously when you are sitting all the time, we could feel that, there's a lot of lethargy, but people, who have to do it because they don't have any other way. Obviously, it's a very difficult thing for them, but you have came up with this idea of the customized wheelchair, right? So please explain this idea to us.
To start with, let's talk about NGO.
Okay.
In NGO, there is a concept of crowdfunding.
Yeah.
For example, if you need a wheelchair, and if it's cost, for example, 50,000,
Right.
so you find 10 people giving 5,000 each, and then that wheelchair goes to the person.
True.
The drawback of overseas Pakistanis that we feel was that they were not able to identify who actually got benefited from this entire thing. Okay.
So, are you trying to say that, or are you trying to register that transparency can't be ensured?
Definitely, according to the
देख ले सर वो एनजीओ वाले फिर आपसे पूछेंगे हमसे नहीं पूछेंगे
No.
आप तो भाई साहब कह रहे हैं हम नहीं कह रहे
I'm not saying definitely NGOs are doing a great job, but
Thank you so much.
but it's actually benefiting one-on-one.
ठीक है.
For example, Shahzad knows that I am benefiting Hussain directly. So this was actually the concept
Of social enterprise.
to introduce a platform for overseas Pakistanis by the name of Nayaz Support,
All right.
in which we connected all the disabled people in Pakistan who are on bed for many years. We got a verified list from Pakistan Disabled Association. We added it to our website.
Yep.
And the overseas Pakistanis and Pakistanis can go on a website, select a person, buy a wheelchair,
Wonderful.
and then gift it.
Wow.
The idea was that if a person can buy a cake and send it to Pakistan, why not a wheelchair for a disabled person?
Exactly. And we recently were in conversation with this gentleman, who has this organization with the name of Make-A-Wish, right?
Yes, yes.
And that's what
same
exactly
concept.
people do, so they go online, they look for a person, and whoever they want to fill their wish for, that's what they're doing. So it's a wonderful concept. Thank you so much for bringing it down to Pakistan. But why do you think in the first place that while being based in Canada, you thought that, okay, this is one thing which is closer to my heart and I want to help Pakistanis?
Shahzad, just to complete my previous
sure.
answer, so social enterprise is basically a business for a good cause. We don't sell it commercially to the people. We
Okay.
encourage overseas Pakistanis and Pakistanis to buy the customized wheelchair for the deserving people. So actually, we are manufacturing a wheelchair.
Right.
It's a enterprise model, but it's going for a good cause actually.
So what we are trying to establish over here is that it's your organization which actually manufactures the wheelchair.
Exactly.
Then there are other people who are going to buy your wheelchair, or do you think that they get a choice that they, even if they do not want to buy your wheelchair, they can buy it from anywhere else and still gift it to people who are in Pakistan?
If they can get a customized wheelchair in Pakistan, that's
What
the
if they're
question.
like, okay, yaar, customize nahi jo hum kar sakte hain, let's do that.
We only have the model of a customized wheelchair on a website. So
Okay.
they can only buy a customized wheelchair, select a person they want to gift, and send the gift of wheelchair to that beneficiary.
Alright.
And on the other hand, like you talked about the transparency, so we send the delivery video to the gifter back,
Okay.
Right.
that your gift has been delivered.
Wonderful.
So it's basically a platform to connect
More transparency.
the deserving people who are in far-flung areas to the entire world. Actually.
All right, and
Right.
just to kind of get my information out, and for people who are out there, so imagine that if I am to order a wheelchair from you for somebody who's in need, and I'm going to send it as a gift, do you think that you will actually give me a bit of rebate on that? Or otherwise, God forbid, if I'm not gifting it to somebody, if I'm buying it for myself, are the rates going to vary then?
We have a standard rate,
Okay,
and like I said, we are not selling commercially.
okay.
So even if we make one wheelchair, we need to be sure that it needs to go in that far-flung area where a person is on bed for 15 years.
Okay.
So this is actually the social enterprise model, that every wheelchair that is manufactured will get will be delivered to the deserving beneficiary that is on the list of the Pakistan Disabled Association.
But whenever somebody is going to buy a wheelchair, obviously that's going to be for someone who's in need of it. So why not sell it to anybody and everybody?
Basically, Shahzad, the customized wheelchair model is that every wheelchair is designed based on the body measurement and disability need. Okay. So while we the entire network, it's the complete voluntary network, and we have around 20 ambassadors from around the globe. We have it in Zimbabwe as well,
Wow,
who are just doing the outreach to overseas Pakistanis that this is something needs to be done. So the list is verified by the Pakistan Disabled Association. We did not went directly for the verification process, because that's a lengthy process, and that's a separate domain. That's not our domain actually.
Yep.
Our domain is that once the person is chosen on the website,
Right.
we go to that person, we take his body measurement, and we design a wheelchair according to his disability needs and size.
Right.
We deliver it, and we send the video back to the gifter.
I'm very sorry that I'm going to put you in a hard position with this question, but I would certainly want it for our audiences out there so that they can have a clear mindset about your organization. So imagine that you just mentioned that within the entire cycle and within the entire circle, everybody works voluntarily, right? But why is it that it's only your organization which benefits monetarily?
I did not get your
I
point.
mean, so, so what you do is that your organization is going to make customized wheelchairs, right? Somebody is going to select that person, from the association, and then they're going to order it to you, you'll get the measurements and they will pay you for the wheelchair, right? And the rest of the people, whoever is going for the measurement and everybody else you just mentioned, happens to be working voluntarily. So why is it that with this social enterprise concept, it's only your organization which benefits monetarily, the rest of the people work voluntarily?
I'll brief you on the manufacturing of the customized wheelchair.
Sure.
There are few people who are disabled in Pakistan who have been trained from Sakura, Japan, that is a leading customized wheelchair
Wonderful.
company. What we have done is, we invested the operational machineries that was needed
Okay.
for them to make a wheelchair. Now that company, we have given that domain to those disabled people.
Okay.
And we have ensured that whoever is involved in the manufacturing of wheelchair, they are also disabled.
Okay,
so
wonderful.
that we are also
So their
creating
salaries are going
job
out of it.
opportunities.
Okay,
So
wonderful.
actually, the amount that comes actually goes to that disabled people.
Wonderful.
So we are actually creating a job opportunities through this platform. Regarding the volunteers, they are actually doing the outreach for the, because we don't have a marketing budget, we don't have a sales budget, you know.
Exactly,
we are,
obviously.
It's just
Yeah.
what's coming in, it's going out, you know. So the entire voluntary network is basically working to create an outreach of this
Okay.
program.
Exactly,
Okay.
and you know, for our viewers, you know, the evidence is on your screen. So from the manufacturing to, you know, the recipients of these customized
And
wheelchairs,
we can
have every visual out
certainly
there.
see the very smiling faces, but you talked about the customized wheelchair. So can you tell us how they are different from the normal wheelchair, and what's different that you are doing in this entire initiative?
Basically, in Pakistan, till now,
Right.
we have always seen a patient wheelchair. We have never seen a customized wheelchair in Pakistan.
Okay.
The patient wheelchair just comes in two sizes. It's for a kid or it's for a older person, and that is, you know, available in the market.
Just a moment, sir. So, you know, we are even sharing visuals from where the wheelchairs are being manufactured, the customized wheelchairs, and as Udani Sahab has mentioned, that it's all the disabled people within the factory as well who working for other people with special needs. And I think it's fabulous to see this business model working and progressing, and everybody needs to kind of
Yes.
contribute towards that. And if you want to contribute, it's niazsupport.org. So please make sure that you go out there, select a person, you know, and give them a customized wheelchair,
Sure.
which your company is going to make, right?
Continue, please.
So the patient wheelchair, the use of a patient wheelchair is just to commute from one place to another for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Okay.
Right.
You can never expect a disabled person to sit on that wheelchair for 18 hours a day.
True.
Okay. You're sitting on a comfortable chair.
That's true.
You won't be able to sit it for more than 1 hour. Then how can we expect that disabled person? We never ask them that, are you comfortable on this wheelchair?
True.
So basically, the patient wheelchair is not for a disabled person actually, because it's not according to their body measurement.
True.
It's not according to their weight,
Body adjustment.
their
as well.
sides.
Yeah.
So what happens is that when they sit on that wheelchair, their body starts to D-shape according to the
Wheelchair.
space, right? And then when they are not sitting properly, their posture management, it comes that the lungs are pressed, the organs are not functional properly.
Yeah.
So they face more basically diseases out of it.
And in simpler terms or in simpler manner, if you are to understand it, so imagine that, you know, you got a new leather belt. For example, you know, I want people to understand, and you know, for God forbid, if you're obese or if you're thin, you would certainly see after 6 months that the belt's going to actually kind of get the shape of however your belly is, or however you are, you know. So that's a better understanding of what happens, God forbid, when you do not have a customized wheelchair, and everybody with special needs out there needs a customized chair for themselves.
You wanted to say something.
I
please?
think you gave a very good example.
Right.
I'll just add on
Sure,
to that
sure, sure.
example because it's a very interesting thing that needs to be, you know, conveyed
there,
so
yeah.
that people can understand why the body measurement wheelchairs are required.
True.
So if your foot size is 7,
Yep.
and if I give you a 6 size shoe,
Yeah.
and I ask you to wear 18 hours per day, what will eventually happen is that shoe won't change,
True.
but your feet will eventually mold according to that space.
True. True. True.
So this is the replica example for the customized wheelchair. So actually, when we give a patient wheelchair to a disabled person, we actually further disable that person
Okay.
in terms of the body structure, in terms of their health.
Right.
So this is where the customized wheelchairs come, because the disabled needs to be mobilized. They
Right.
don't need a wheelchair on which another person of their household gets engaged to move them around, you know. So basically you are actually destroying the body, you are destroying the structure, and you are engaging another person,
And you're causing other
to-
problems for them.
other problems for them.
Not
So
actually empowerment. Yeah.
so the customized wheelchair is based on the weight, on the measurement. They can just run with their fingers as well. We have seen kids going to school
Yes.
In Mardan, we gave the wheelchairs to the polio patients. They have opened their tailoring shop in Mardan.
Wonderful.
You know, people have started working in a Kiryana store. They are roaming around in these stores and giving, you know, items to the customers. So the concept is to transform lives, you know.
Okay, wonderful.
The concept why I chose not the NGO, the social enterprise, was because I wanted to make a gift store for disabled people where people can go and buy a gift and gift it to that person. So it's basically a disability gift store.
And how did this idea came from? Because I know you have been engaged in a hospitality sector, and this is very different, you know, catering to a niche who are differently able or who have disabilities out there. And there's a lot of discourse around, you know, disability and inclusivity and whatnot. But I mean, the action on the ground, we see it's going on, but I mean, things will take time to, you know, prove more action. So how did this idea came in front?
Hajrat, I was involved with the, like you said, the hospitality industry, but that was a part of the Aga Khan Development Network.
Yeah.
Okay, and the philosophy of Aga Khan Development Network is to serve humanity, actually.
Yes.
Okay, and I was actually heading the CSR and marketing initiatives of that
Corporate social
hospitality. So
responsibility.
I was connected with all the NGOs, all the associations.
Right.
So I could have, I was able to understand the loopholes, the challenges that they face, the challenges of overseas Pakistanis. You know, everyone wants to do it, but they need a transparent mechanism. They want one-to-one adoption of a person.
Exactly.
You know, that, okay, this guy has been benefited, and you know, he feels good about it, actually, you know. So this idea, when I was leaving Pakistan, because whatever we are today is because of this country.
That's true.
Our education, our work experience, our entire PR and network, it's all based in Pakistan. So while I was leaving this country, so I just never wanted to break my ties with this country, actually, and the people of Pakistan.
Wonderful.
Mashallah.
That's
So
lovely.
this is how I initiated this idea, that this is something I can create a cloud online platform, and you know, we can connect the people abroad to.
And we are super proud of you. Thank you so much, you know, for
That's
making
true.
sure that you're going to
That's
have this heart-to-heart connection, and please make sure that you maintain that, and please make sure
Inshallah.
that you keep on providing mobility and empowerment to people with special needs.
Shahzad, I always say that my job was to create a platform.
True.
Now I think it's equal responsibility of Hazra, of Shahzad, of everyone watching
True,
this
true,
channel,
true.
that everyone needs to work together to, you know, enable those 30 million disabled people, you know, and out of which 71% are unemployed. So if you provide them a customized wheelchair, at least they can do mobilize themselves, and they can go and, you know, at least go out of their houses to search
And
for the
certainly that's what the goal is. But thank you so much, Mr. Hussain Udwani, for being
Thank
with
you
us.
so much.
Lovely to be in
Thank you.
conversation with you. And ladies and gentlemen, you know, today it happens to be an amazing day. One, obviously it's raining outside.
Yes.
Number two, we're talking about empowerment, that too for the people, you know, who have special needs. Not just that, I think we're going to talk about women empowerment today as well. You know, after a short break, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And what kind of, you know, protection is provided in Pakistani law, you know, for women. That's something which we will be talking about, precisely focusing on. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Get yourself a cup of tea, and we'll be right back. Thank you so much.
Welcome back, and before going on to the break, we were having a very wonderful conversation. We were talking about the empowerment, and especially for the people who have disabilities, and now we are going to talk about women empowerment. And this is a very hot topic. It has been discussed again and again. There are lots of discourses generated in it, but when we talk specifically in Pakistani context, we are going to talk about their social mobility, their economic mobility, their political mobility, and how does the law afford them protection in place. and there are lots of wonderful laws that have been implemented in Pakistan that afford a lot of protection to women out there, especially when it comes to harassment, when it comes to their political empowerment, when it comes to their workplace protections out there. And I feel that I am very lucky living in Pakistan.
Thank you.
Because
You've got some amazing colleagues, yes, who look after you, alhamdulillah.
Who don't give me chocolates, who promise me lots of chocolates.
The law doesn't state that, right?
Okay. But when we talk about the social responsibility, okay, I'm sorry, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But yes, when we talk about the women empowerment, so obviously we have some wonderful guests in our studio, and without any further ado, we would like to kickstart our debate because this is a very interesting conversation that we are going to have. So we are very lucky that we have been joined by Alia Bano. She happens to be the daughter of Suraiya Multani Sahiba, who was a singer, and she has a very golden legacy in Pakistan. Yes, a very golden figure, especially in Pakistan's industry. She has contributed a lot towards the arts and culture, and she's also practicing lawyer, and election analyst, and she has been serving with different NGOs, and we would like to get inspired by what she has to say when it comes to her experience. So, Assalamu alaikum, and thank you so much for coming to
Thank you
our
very
show.
much for having me here.
Very kind of you to, have joined us today as well.
Yeah.
And alongside Miss Alia Bano, ladies and gentlemen, we're very lucky that we've actually, because we will certainly be focusing on and how the law protects women over here in Pakistan. So we're very lucky that we've been joined by Advocate High Court, who happens to have extensive experience of a decade now, alhamdulillah. He happens to be Mr. Shahriar Gondal. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning, sir. How are you?
Islam, I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining
Wonderful.
us.
So let's kickstart a conversation. I think ladies first, as we say, right? So we will kick started with the Alia Bano. Sahiba, since you have lots of experience when it comes to the electoral processes and political participation of the women, so we would like to ask you, what is the general scenario of Pakistan in terms of the political participation and electoral process in our country?
I would start with saying that when it comes to the Global Gender Index, so Pakistan's rank very low. Sorry, it's not a very good start to say.
Yeah, but there are
lots of initiatives that state is taking, and as you have earlier mentioned, that there are lots of pro-women legislation which has taken place.
Yes.
But enforcement is a little problem. But I think they are doing very well on that.
Right.
When it comes to the political participation, somehow we are on a better ranking. We are on a 94th number.
Wonderful.
Where on the economic and health, we are on the global gender index, we are on the quite a bottom, like on the 143 out of 145. But you see, because of this special affirmative measures taken for women, like we have a quota for a women parliamentarian. When it's come to the parliamentarians issue, you see there are lots of women in the parliament. But when it comes to women contesting directly election, so we can see that there are very few women there who have been directly elected.
Right.
Though the Election Act 2017 have a provision which is 206, which says that political parties will ensure that 5% of the tickets are given to the women. But you see what happened in the last election. Though parties have fulfilled that 5% requirement, but they have given them the tickets where they know they won't won the election. So it's just a tokenship. So like in 2018 election, only 183 women that contested the election, and out of that only 8 were in the parliament. So this figure is very low.
Right.
So this is what about the candidates. And when it comes to the participation as a voter, so Election Commission of Pakistan is taking a lots of measures. It seems that gender issues is very close to their heart, because they have a gender wing. And that gender wing is being headed by a woman, very talented woman, and she is doing a lot of effort. And like in 2013, the gender gap on the electoral roll was about 1.8 million. And Election Commission, along with the civil society, has taken lots of initiatives. Due to that, that gender gap has reduced, and it has come to 1.1 million, because population is also increasing. So because of that, though, when you see in the number, we have more women on the electoral roll because of the Election Commissions and civil societies incorporation and initiative, but still that the gap remains, which is more than 1 million. So I think I think we need to talk about why is it happening, why
Yes.
women are not
Yes,
registering voters.
certainly we will come to that, but now let's, Shahryar, let's get the conversation started. Since you're the experts in the legal arena, and Election Commission of Pakistan has some really good inclusive initiatives when it comes to legality. So there was this law that if the political participation of women is less than 10% in any particular area, Election Commission can declare that polling null and void because women are restrained from going there, right? So what other legal protections are afforded to women out there which women might not know, especially those who are living in the rural areas?
We have to take, I would like to say that the steps with regards to women participation, especially in the remote areas of Punjab and other, like including Balochistan and Sindh, we have to include all those women in the political arena and the political process. And which is unfortunately is the case, that it's the political, the participation of women is not up to the mark the way the ma'am has just mentioned. But steps need to be taken, and I guess if we compare ourselves with regard, 2 decades ago, the situation was quite worse. It is improving the processes, and we have to believe in the process of evolution. And it's going on, it's on the right track, but we cannot be impatient about it.
True.
And we have to
We certainly need to focus in this right direction, and certainly,
Exactly.
I think it's our responsibility, being on a TV channel, making sure that we talk about it so that we kind of see that change happening. But in addition to that, can you take us through the laws specifically enforced for women in Pakistan?
Shahzad, it's of immense importance, that topic you have just brought, and yes, there are quite a few number of laws
example,
which
can
have
you
been
mention a
enacted.
few?
For example, I would definitely like to quote protection against harassment of women at workplace. I mean, any woman who has been harassed at any workplace by her employer or employee or any of the colleague, she can directly file a complaint before the federal ombudsman. This is the department which categorically deals with these issues. And this procedure has to be decided in a summary manner within a period of 90 days.
Okay.
And this is, it's a quasi-judicial forum, federal ombudsman. And I've worked there for like 1 year, so I have a little bit experience of that.
Sure.
So it is working in a great way, that women have been filing the number of complaints filed there, like starting from 500 per year, it's gone to like 5,000 per year.
Okay.
And offering efficient remedy in a timely manner.
But Shahryar, we are still unable to figure out whether what comes under harassment. So for example, if somebody, as a colleague, if a lady, who works with you, is overburdened with work, you said something to her, all of a sudden she goes out to federal ombudsman and be like, "You're harass kar raha." So let's define what harassment is at workplace.
The definition of harassment when the law was passed in 2010 was different.
Okay.
And then an amendment was passed by the National Assembly in 2022. The definition of harassment has been enhanced.
Okay.
The definition of workplace has been enhanced. The definition of employer has been defined in a detailed manner.
Okay.
The employee in a detailed manner. Initially, the law was very, very precise, but they have enhanced in such a manner that aggrieved women can directly approach the federal ombudsman and get this remedy.
I think that's a very wholesome sort of a definition, especially which was incorporated into the law, because obviously with the changing circumstances, the law also changed. But now, Ms. Alia, coming to you, and since you're an expert in the electoral processes, so I was looking at very interesting research which said that canvassing only women has no effect on the voter turnout, rather involving both men and women has a more greater effect, right? So do you, because men have access to the transportation and they take women to the polling processes, so do you think that the patriarchy is a big challenge when we talk about the women political participation?
In rural areas or urban, both?
So the research was conducted in some specific areas. I can't recall that.
Okay.
And then that was generalized. Yes.
I think there are two kinds of research in that. There was one research which says that because people have this stereotype that the urban women would come more and vote, whereas the research has shown of the 2018 that the gender turnout gender gap in the metropolitan cities was higher than in the rural areas. So you see, we thought that in the patriarchy in the rural areas is much stronger, but I think in patriarchy is one of the reason, because it's a male dominating society, and women has to take a permission when they leave their house, mobility, accessibility. This is a culture processes, as my
I
colleague
think
was already.
at times, I'm very sorry that I'm interjecting, at times they even have to vote as per the wishes of their father, brother or husband.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say about the voting pattern.
Yep.
You know, the voting pattern is patronage. You know, in Pakistan we had a system of baradaris, dharas.
That's true.
So you know, the voting pattern that influence not only women, that also influence the man. In the rural areas, why we have a more turnout? Because in the baradaris and dharas, they sit together, or wo usme apna, they take oath from each other that this time you will vote this candidate or this candidate for. It's not even usually the political parties vote. They say for the national seat you will vote this party, and for the provincial you will vote this candidate. So the voting pattern has a patronage. But when it comes to the turnout thing, then the patriarchy is a very major reason. But then we again say it's an evolution. Societies evolve, societies change. You can't change the culture simultaneously. So we need to take more affirmative measures, like Election Commission is already taking. I'm not advocating them, but I have seen that in the Election Act they have said that the polling station will be established in the diameter of the 1 kilometer. But we have done some research that there are the polling stations which are not within the diameter of the 1 kilometer. So like if more affirmative measures are taken like that. Polling stations are being established closer in every gully mahallas, in every localities, and then voting cards being sent to directly. In many countries, the electoral commissions are sending the voter cards to the to the voters at their home. You know, usually they are dependent upon the purchase from the political parties, and they are misguiding them.
Right.
I mean, it's good to hear that, you know, that having, you know, the voting centers somewhere across the street. We do know what happens with ballot boxes at times as well. So I think we really need to ensure that transparency.
But I think with the changing circumstances, that is also changing in the first place.
Yeah, and I think online, I think
do
the electoral process really needs to get online. Everything needs to get digital now. And I think the Election Commission is working on that too. But I would want to come back to you, because you mentioned that you worked at the Federal Ombudsman, and obviously I think that it was the tenure of Ms. Kashmala Tariq Sahiba, you know, who was there. And she says that, you know, offering a cup of tea even to a lady comes under harassment. How do you think people are going to get married in our country if that's how scared men are going to be, even if they cannot ask for a cup of coffee or tea to a lady they work with?
I'll just quote, I'll just narrate a simple example with you. If somebody is not interested in you, if somebody is not interested in having a word with you, if you have no connection whatsoever with that colleague of yours, and you're still texting that person, and you're still bothering that person in the morning, every day and night you're texting that person. I mean, it's fetching the definition of harassment, but it definitely comes under harassment. So let's be honest with this.
So if all of that texting is about work, how do you think
I'm
it's
just
going to work?
not
So that's not a
saying
problem.
I'm just not relating this whole thing only to the texting.
Mausam kitna acha hai, you know, things like that. If you're texting that easily, that's harassment, okay?
If you're making someone uncomfortable,
okay.
If you're creating a hostile environment, अगर आप कोई भी ऐसा माहौल क्रिएट करते हैं जिससे आप अपनी पोजीशन ऑफ अथॉरिटी का मिसयूज कर रहे हैं,
okay,
so that definitely
thank you so much for saying that.
I just quickly add on something what he's already saying. I'm also a woman, and I have been working for last more than 20 years. You know, one more thing, that you not only go directly to the ombudsperson. There is a requirement that every institution that they have a male and female working together, they would also have an inquiry committee. You know, the name of the committee members will be on the board. Uski tashheer ki jayegi. The laws would be displayed everywhere in the environment. So when the inquiry committee is within the organization, so if there is any complaint of the harassment, then obviously, like if we 6-7 people are working, we know the environment very well. Ombudsperson won't be knowing that.
And in addition to that, you know, so Sharia, what articles are there in Constitution regarding women rights? You know, so to express more about it.
The more specific and clear article is Article 34. It categorically says that steps shall be taken to ensure women's participation in all spheres of national life. and the thing you just mentioned about inquiry committees, it's very unfortunate that all the organizations and departments do not have even constituted those inquiry committees as per the standard laid down in the law, which is very unfortunate. And we should make sure then, at this government level, and federal ombudsman shall make sure that all these departments shall constitute their inquiry committees with regards to the harassment.
So how do you think that these improvements can be brought in?
I think they're already working on it, and many of the organizations have already constituted their inquiry committees, especially when a case has been filed against any organization or any employee of the organization. So they definitely tend to constitute an inquiry committee.
Ms. Alia, so let's now just focus on how do we close the gender gap when it comes to the political participation of the Pakistan, because obviously ECP is doing a lot and there's a lot of conversation, and obviously the civil society is very active, but as a practitioner, as a development practitioner, how do you suggest that we close
I think you see that right to vote and right to association is a fundamental right of every Pakistani, which enshrined in the Constitution of Pakistan. So firstly, it is the state's duty to enforce these rights. When states when civil society feels that there is a gap, so civil society comes in, and because it's not the duty of the civil society, in fact, anything if related to education, health, primarily it is the state's duty. But civil societies are cooperating, the NGOs, INGOs. Now you, because as you know, in the Election Act, now the electoral roll is connected with the NADRA. So once you get your NIC, and then they would ask your option, where would you like to be registered as a voter. So it's your electoral roll is directly connected with the NIC. So once you get your NIC, then you automatically you will be on the electoral roll. But the issue is that women access to NIC is very low, and that is one of the reasons why we are very low on the global gender.
But why is that so? Their access to the NIC.
Yeah, there are two. One is the patriarchy, one reason, major reason. But as we discussed earlier, that we can't change the culture very soon. But state, as they said it in the Article 34, says that state will take special measures to ensure the participation of women in the national life. So we need more and more affirmative measures to be taken. NADRA has taken that they have the mobile registration van, which they call the MRVs. They goes into the far-flung areas to register the women as a voter. But we need more affirmative measures. We need to facilitate women. Even we have witnessed that the MRVs goes to the far-flung areas, and they have a criteria that when there are more than 50, at least 50 women coming, but there are less than 50 women. So we need to take more affirmative measures. As I said, that the voter cards, and you see the B form, we call B form. When a child is born, they have a B form. So that first form has the same number as the ID card. You get the ID card with that the same number as on the B form. So it's the same number. So therefore, now the data is with the NADRA about the B form. So NADRA becomes more pro-efficiently look into the women B form, and when they know that the women these age group are 18, they send their NIC card directly, post them to their home.
And now you can even get
this
your
is one of the suggestions.
baby ID cards from NADRA too. So if you want it, you can get it made. So NADRA has been doing some exceptional work.
It's a one-window solution, and it has made life a lot more easier. Now, Sharyar, moving to you, because one last question, and that's a very perplexing and interesting question for me, and especially for the community which we call Khana Badosh, or nomads who are living there, right? So their ID cards are not made because they're constantly moving around, and this is one of the condition being for the ID cards is that you need to have a permanent address, right? So how does the law caters to that particular community, and what about their political participation?
There are prerequisites to be registered as a citizen of any state. So if any particular person, even if if I belong to some remote area in Punjab and I'm living in Islamabad, I can still be registered as a citizen. But the prerequisites has been defined in the law and categorically have been defined, and every citizen or every person who aspire to be a citizen of any particular state, or be it US or be it India or be it Pakistan.
But they're constantly moving around, no?
That's perfectly all right. Even so many people, like they move around and they transfer, they go from one place to another place, but there are standards laid down in the law which they have to meet to become a citizen of the state.
And just very quickly towards the end, because we have been talking about the provision of laws and harassment and whatnot. So do you think that there's any helpline which can actually help a lot of women?
For domestic violence, yes, there it is. It is very important to mention that helpline to all the listeners out there. Any woman who has been subjected to any domestic violence, or even a man, it's available 24/7. They have engaged like psychosocial counselors, legal advisors, and they have a proper team to address all those issues. And it's available 24/7, especially in Punjab. I'm not sure about the remaining of the remaining provinces, but
one
yes.
quick add-on
Yeah.
is that there's one very interesting law which has been recently passed in 2021 is the enforcement of the inheritance law of women.
Exactly.
That's very important
Ma'am,
thing
it's,
because
my apologies to cut you off. It's called Enforcement of Women's Property Rights Act
Property Rights,
2020.
wonderful,
2020.
wonderful.
Yeah.
And in that, under that law, any woman in Islamabad, and that's only applicable to Islamabad, can file a complaint directly to the ombudsman, and not just inheritance property, any right. If she has been denied any right in any property, she can directly file a complaint.
Exactly,
before the
but it
ombudsman.
certainly needs to expand beyond Islamabad,
Yes.
because I think that's where the problem is.
After
Even in
18
Islamabad,
November-
I do
Yeah.
know that that to certain extent, obviously it still exists. But when we go to probably deeper in Punjab, Sindh,
yes, yes.
elsewhere, Rodi, and so all of these
South
villages,
Punjab,
ladies and
yes.
gentlemen, people actually deny their own daughters the
Yeah.
right to inheritance.
3%
and
of women they get
exactly,
in
and that's something
Pakistan
which we
there,
certainly need to work on. And so let me remind you, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi
Sallallahu
wasallam in one of his ahadith has said that whoever is going to take away somebody's land, somebody's, not even inheritance I'm talking about, somebody's land, and that too illegally, will certainly not be entering Jannah. I think that's only one thing which you need to remember over here, because there's going to be life hereafter. That's what we believe in as Muslims. Ladies and gentlemen, please make sure कि किसी का हक ना खाएं. Until next time, 1, 2, 3. Good morning.